Hello, my name is Frank Salas. I'm internationally known as the talented Mr. Salas, and I've been working with Alecia for about the last 18 months. If you're watching this video, you're interested in working with her as well. So I just want to share my journey on how we started working together. So in our first month, we really started to dissect my limiting beliefs. I shared my business model, what I was doing, and she was very quickly able to identify, this is where I'm playing small, this is where I'm limiting myself, and I was having a lot of issues around cash flow, pricing, and beyond my business, I was having a lot of personal issues. And working with Alecia was very helpful through text messages on WhatsApp, a lot of voice messages back and forth. It was really convenient to work with her and just work through things. As an entrepreneur, I'm sure you know, you have a lot of moments where things are like, oh my God, it's gonna be the end of the world. And there's like that basically twice a week happens. So when those moments would hit me, I would just reach out via WhatsApp and I would just say, hey, this is what's going on. And very quickly, I would have some shifts. So Alecia is known as the Energy Queen. And because of that, when you talk to the Energy Queen, you just kind of get back on track. And so for me, it was very powerful to have those regular conversations. And we would meet, not a lot, we'd meet once a week to start, maybe once every other week, because I kind of had homework to do and we had to go back to the game and see how things went. So for the first 3 months, it was really just kind of getting calibrated and getting the energy right. Now at month 4, you know, maybe a little bit before months, maybe like month 2, I was able to start to see some shifts financially in my business because I was no longer accepting things like payment plan or late payments. That was an issue that I had. Maybe you have it, maybe you don't. That was just my issue. And I was able to charge a premium. So right around month 2, 3, and 4, I started to see an uptick. And what I used to make in a year, I started making in a month. So this was really, really interesting because this put me in an energetic state where I was able to attract a lover, somebody who I was looking for, and that was an amazing, beautiful experience. And I was able to show up as my whole and true self, not like the limited version of me who was in survival mode. And that was just kind of what it was like to start working together. After our first initial work getting set up to get my energy prepared to my next level, what was really different is I had a new team around me. I had new employees, I had new team members, I had new clients with a new energy. And this was very interesting to me because I was saying no to what I used to do and who I used to be, and I was saying yes to something better, something greater. And that showed up for me financially, emotionally, personally, spiritually, in so many different ways because I decided to make that choice. And what was the most interesting aspect of that is every month was a new personal record. I remember sending messages and screenshots of, you know, my sales. Oh my God, I just broke my record. And then the next month I'd said, oh my God, I just did this. Oh my God, I just had to pay in full. I used to have people pay me, you know, long drawn out payment plans, and sometimes they'd fall off. I would have people pay me my full rate in full at a newer rate, which was just mind blowing for me. It was also life changing because instead of me having to be in survival mode on how am I going to pay my salaries, my advertising spend, my softwares, you know, the things, my personal expenses, instead of thinking like that, that was already covered, which allowed me as an entrepreneur to think about, okay, how do I expand this thing? How do I keep this thing growing and get into the next level? So really for about maybe 8 months, I was just breaking my personal records every single month without fail, and breaking my records was my new normal, which was just really cool. One of the most important changes that we made was Alecia actually goes in and looks at your business model. And one of the things that I was leaving on the table was monthly recurring revenue in my business and my business model. We immediately made a shift where I started adding a monthly recurring revenue factor, which means every single month, whether I worked or sold, I was getting money come in. And that gave me like this healthy baseline. It put me out of hustle, survival, needy energy on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and I was coming to my sales calls with needy energy. It put me into a place where I was relaxed, chill. I was able to have powerful conversations with my clients versus please send me money, please, please, please work with me, please like me, is something that we were talking about. I kind of had that energy going nonstop. So once we were able to remove that neediness by adding that monthly recurring revenue, what this did was it gave me stability because I didn't have to worry about how much that software costs or how much this employee costs. My costs were covered, and then it gave me room to grow and expand. So one of the biggest things that I received from working with Alecia is monthly recurring revenue. That's literally saved my life every single month since we started working together. In my personal life, there's been some major changes, specifically around me and how I approach money and energy. So one of the times that I was leaving the airport when I first met Alecia, I couldn't afford a water bottle. Like, it was a $4 bottle of water, which is expensive, but I just couldn't afford it. And it made me feel, really sad and really just like a bum. And not even a year later, at the same airport, I was able to treat myself to a nice dinner. I bought like 2 bottles of water. And then when I went home to go see my family, I was able to invite my family out to dinner. And I haven't been able to do that in like a decade. I was able to buy Christmas gifts for my family for the first time in literally a decade, because I'd just been trying to ramp up a business and scale up my business. And because of that, our work, I had extra cash flow to be able to be generous, to be able to show up in a different way. And now money's not a sensitive topic. Money's like a fun topic. Money is a topic where I'm getting other people to really think about money in a different way, because I'm now energetically approaching money and generosity in my personal life way, way different than I was before, when I was tight and close guarded and, oh my God, I can't believe that thing cost that amount of money. It's just a totally different way to approach. So for me, this hasn't just showed up in my business life, it showed up in my personal life. And the biggest physical change that I can see is when the bill comes and with my family, like, I just pick up the bill. Like, it's not even a question. It's like, oh my God, can I afford this? I'm just able to pick it up, and everyone's like saying, oh, thanks, we appreciate it, versus me having to be taken care of by my other brothers or sisters or uncles. It's a totally different vibe now. So for me, that was game changing. One of my favorite things in my lifestyle is to have European summers. And in the past, before working with Alecia, I was always just kind of trying to get by and trying to pay the least amount as possible. And Europe isn't the place where you go to save money. Europe's kind of expensive. And so the first year that I worked with Alecia, I was probably about maybe 5 or 6 months in. I had already done the work to be able to receive the financial rewards, that I wasn't worried about how much a hotel costs. I wasn't worried about, getting a exit row seat or paying for an extra carry-on luggage. I wasn't worried about where I was going out to eat. I wasn't skimping on the little things that I was doing, which in turn allowed me to have a really cool lifestyle, which in turn allowed me to meet interesting people, which allowed me to meet an amazing woman and be able to have adventures with her all over Europe for that summer. So for me, those are like things where I actually physically saw the change in my lifestyle and my day-to-day experience after working with Alecia. So before I started working with Alecia, I was charging $2,500, $3,500, every now and then $5,000. And maybe in about 3 months, I started changing that to where my baseline was $5,000. I kept getting people paying me $5,000. So Alecia challenged me to go to $7,500. So I went to $7,500. People were paying me $7,500. Then Alecia challenged me to go to $10,000. And I was really reluctant, because a lot of energy stuff, but we worked through it. And when I say we worked through it, I wasn't feeling worthy of getting that amount, especially because in the past, whenever I got paid that kind of money, I didn't deliver. And so it was really powerful to have Alecia in my corner saying, yes, you had that issue in the past, but you're totally different now. Here's why. And you're approaching things in a different way. And that gave me the confidence to demand $10,000 from the marketplace. And when the first $10,000 came paid in full, I was like, oh my God, I wasn't even making $10,000 in 3 months. Sometimes, to get it all at once, it was just life-changing for me. And if you are similar, you may want to I encourage you to go through the process with Alecia, because for me, that was life-changing and game-changing. So after like the 4th or 5th time that happened, it was real to me. I didn't believe it the first time, the second time, the third time, or the fourth time. It even went to my bank account. I just didn't feel like it was real. I was like, okay, maybe this is just luck. But after the 5th time, I was like, okay, this is not a coincidence. This is not luck. This is my new baseline. And so one of the things that Alecia and I speak about a lot is, what is our current baseline? What's the baseline at? And at that point, it was $10,000 per deal. As Alecia does, she asked me to bump it up again. And so right now, where I'm currently at, just for my baseline deal, is at $12,500, and that's getting paid, and we're talking about getting that to the next level, which would probably be around $15,000. So that's just kind of on my low end. Now on my bigger package deals were probably like $6,000 or $7,000 when I first got started, and we did that same process where they would go from $6,000 to $10,000. We actually took them off the bigger packages just to focus on the entry level one, just to kind of get started, and then I added the new one back on, and it was at $50,000. And this happened like last month, and we're about 18 months working together. So last month I had my first $50,000 paid in full client, totally paid for, cash, wired to my bank. I didn't even send him a link to pay on like my payment processor because the payment processing fee was gonna be $1,700. I just sent him my wire information, and he wired the money over. I saved $1,750 on my transactions, and the money came right over. It was there. It was really cool, and like just to see that in there, I have never seen that amount of money just magically show up. That month was also another personal record. So it's just a constant shattering of the personal records and a constant shattering of the finances on there. And at this point, like the finances don't really matter. Like they do, but they're not the focal point. The focal point is my actual work now. I can actually focus with my clients. I can make real recommendations based on what they need versus on what I need from them financially. So for me, this was kind of how my pricing structure and pricing journey was with Alecia. I have personally received over $400,000 in my bank, not on contracts, not on sales, actual revenue from someone's bank account to my bank account in 18 months of working with Alecia. I haven't seen that kind of money in probably the last 10 years, maybe the last 15 years. And in 2 years, I have had over $400,000 show up in my bank account. So if you're watching this and you feel like this is something that you might want to do, I encourage you personally to do this because it's going to be game changing. If you put the work in, if you do what you're supposed to do, you're going to get results. Alecia is the energy queen. Make sure you reach out to her. Make sure you speak to her. And where I'm taking my business now is instead of getting paid $50,000 once, I'm shifting my business to get paid $50,000 multiple times in a day. So what's next on my horizon is a $250,000 day, a $500,000 day, $1 million day. I'm taking the same exact framework and we're just scaling it to the next level. And I have no problem even enjoying the process now because the money is not a factor. I'm not in survival mode whatsoever. And because of that, I'm able to create, I'm able to show up in a more confident, more authentic way. And I'm not needy. I'm not saying, please like me, please buy from me. I'm saying this is what I do. I'm an expert in my field. Come work with me. Let me help you. And that's a totally different way to approach any kind of sales conversation. So if you're watching this, I encourage you to change your life and work with Alecia.